Hi, I'm Robert Wilkins, aka Basketball Tall. I'm also your BT dispatcher, which I bring news and commentary with a different flavor. Yes, I'm here with my buddy Gary Ward. And I've been knowing Gary for I don't know how many decades now, Gary.
At least a couple.
Yeah,
Two and
yeah,
a half, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, we were both, track coaches with USA Track and Field, that major track and field national organization, which we participated with the juniors. We went to Junior Olympics every year all over the country. And I must tell you, we had a grand time. And when I say all over the country, I literally mean all over the country. But we also saw a lot of kids progress, grew, got better,
Right.
got college scholarships, and not just that, became pillars of the community, contributing back to society.
Right.
And what a joy that was, wasn't it,
Oh,
Gary?
definitely. 100%.
Well, anyway, he asked me if I would join him in a conversation in his podcast, and I agreed to do it. And what we're going to talk about is unfiltered. There's no script that I have before me, and he's going to ask me some questions, and we'll just take it from there. But also to let you know, I do have a website, and it's called basketballtall.com, which will tell a little bit about me as well as open invitations if you so choose to want to hear me speak. But anyway, we'll stop there.
All right, Robert. Tell us about your early life coming up through elementary school, through college. You were a basketball player in college, and into your first job.
Okay, I grew up in Monroe, Louisiana. And like a lot of folks, there was a period in time in my life where, I had a mother, single mother, taking care of 5 kids. Yes, I had a father in my life for a short while, but then my mother was the one that went out and, of course, always worked 2 jobs.
Right.
And she was very disciplined and such. And so I grew up in Monroe at a time during the Jim Crow era.
Right.
And I was born in the late 50s, and of course, through my elementary was through in the 60s. And just to say, because of the atmosphere that we're in right now, the climate that we're in, this political climate, and we're seeing rights and things being overturned and all of that, and a lot of people are concerned, feel that we're trying to take us back. I think I got something I can add to that.
All right.
Growing up in Louisiana, which we know from the earlier years, Louisiana was an import area for slaves. So I am from the descendants of slaves. But the thing about it is, I remember growing up in an all-black elementary. It was always drilled in us that we had to be better, we had to do better, and
Right.
everything we did in order to be able to compete or just to be able to get that job.
Right.
And I must say that was something drilled in us so deep, and I drilled that in my kids actually, the importance, but not to the same degree in which we were when we were kids.
Right.
About the importance of excellence, about giving it your best, doing your all, and don't never let anyone tell you what you're not capable of, that you're not good enough, because we always heard that all the time. But here's the kicker. In 1969, 69-70 school year, the city of Monroe, and like probably most of Louisiana, went through major integration. And what was that bill called? Was it Civil Rights Bill? I know the voting rights was in 1964, 65.
Right.
But then, of course,
Was it the integration when the school started?
Yes,
we all started going to school together.
Yes, exactly.
Now I lived in the capital city of Topeka,
in Kansas.
In Kansas,
Okay.
and so I lived in a mixed neighborhood, and so I didn't get that dramatic of when you cross the South until I was down at 3rd or 4th grade. You crossed the tracks and you had the neighborhood split up. Now we're pretty much all integrated. But go ahead. Sorry about that.
Speaking, no, you're great. Please ask. What you just said. Stop just a minute.
righty. Here we go again.
You know, what you just said was so important because, you know, we always had that view of growing up about going to the North.
Right.
Because we always had that thought that life was better because that was drilled in us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because as you know, that great migration, a lot of folks moved from the South and moved to Chicago, moved to Detroit and various other places to escape,
Right.
you know, what was really the segregation and everything else that was down there.
Right.
But I can recall when I was in the 7th grade when integration came about, which, you know, the school boards, the zoning and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
well, we had to go to school.
Right.
And where I lived, I had to go to the white school.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 7th grade, we didn't have any bus to take us to school because of where we lived. The school where we lived, we had to walk about a mile to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to go through the white community.
Right.
And I must tell you,
That's
you're
right.
talking about civil rights,
Mm-hmm.
the experience of going through that.
Right.
I can say this, no one has experienced more, I can say, hatred than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll elaborate on that a little later. But walking on those streets, once we were on Orange Street, that was a boundary to the black community.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to walk from Orange Street to walk down to go to Jefferson Junior High. And I must tell you, you're talking about the cars rolling, the Confederate flags going, people screaming, honking their horns, throwing objects at us, spitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was terror. Can you imagine your 12-year-old child having to go through that? And all these adults and these upper senior class, you know, students
Intimidating.
terror upon us.
Mm-hmm.
It was like nothing it's just like in the movies, but it was real.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to live through that. And can you imagine every morning waking up and having to walk that street to try to get to school? Now, once we got on campus, everything was fine.
Shoulders could relax.
Oh, yeah, we were protected.
Yeah.
But those cars just kept roaming around like sharks, just like sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, can you imagine playing sports in junior high? After school, you have to stay after school.
And then that walk is a little bit lonelier.
Oh, yeah. And how did we have to get back? Well, see, what we did, we formed a pathway to get home. Hmm. You know, just like that Underground Railroad.
Yeah. That's the Louisiana Railroad.
Yeah.
Is it the Monroe?
Yeah. And what that was is that we walk in the back alleys.
Right.
We had to walk through the alleys, just get off the main road until we got to Orange Street. Once we got there, we were safe because they knew not to cross that boundary.
Right.
Because if they did, then we were going to inflict punishment ourselves.
Right. Right.
But that's the way it was. Now, keep in mind, you're in the 7th grade. We're integrated. Mm-hmm. You know, there were a lot of fights.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
look, I'm going to tell you right now, we skipped through that. I was born in 64. You was born in the late 50s.
Yeah.
We on y'all's backs.
But see, even my pastor right here in Oklahoma, he told me they integrated in here, and you know, he was in Wynnewood, Pauls Valley area. Mm-hmm. He said in the 1950s. Yeah. Now imagine that. Mm-hmm. And here we are down in the deeper South. You know,
now it's 69. So like Ardmore was 68, 69 because we had Douglas High over there. That you know, I'm going off the Douglas High stuff, and like Frederick, little smaller schools, Wynnewood, smaller schools, they integrated
much earlier.
Yeah, so those people got to know each other,
right?
You know,
right.
And growing up around here, or moving in, I never seen anything. But then we could get into we were lightening up the room and talking about skin tone. So that is a thing as well. So I may have been called nigger once, you know, and I don't have that experience of being discriminated hard against now that I could see. The system catches other people of lighter complexion, skin tone. The system will catch you back then. So we've come a long way.
Yes, we have.
But But the darker brothers and sisters caught much more hell than the lighter. Now, I'm not trying to. I'm just. It's a fucking truth.
You know what? What you
that's
just
that is.
said. You know, I always told my pastor, we caught more hell than everybody else because we're darker. Which, like what you just said, and there's truth to that. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, niggas is niggas, as far as the one drop rule is.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so I never lost touch with that. You know, I knew who I was, but I never had to go through that brutality part because of the time and the age, you know, my age versus your age, and being put into the mix, and then skin tone. That's part of it. That's just like a real deal.
See, like your kids, my kids, they didn't experience that.
No, those kids are friends with one another.
That's right. That's right. But the thing is, when I went to the 9th grade, Gary, Wasserman High School, it was in a white community. It was a white school. And during that integration, I remember in the 9th grade, now we're catching the bus to go to Wasserman.
Right.
And I remember in the 9th grade, had no idea what was going to take place that morning.
Right.
I remember it was cold. I thought it might have been December, but I saw a recent news article. I got the newspaper. It was in February. Yeah. And this was February of 1972. And I remember getting off that bus that morning, and all of a sudden, my cousins, Cosmo and Cook, that's their nickname.
Cosmo and Cook, huh?
I don't want to give them a real
name. I tell you what.
Yeah. Next thing I know, and then they said, "Here, Wilk, hold my coat." So I held their coat. The next thing I know, all the other guys started piling coats on me. So I was the coat boy. I'm serious. You can tell something was up, but I had no idea it was organized.
Oh.
Can you imagine there was a little over 1,000 students, and the school board had it set with like 50% black, 50% white. And next thing I know, they started rolling up their sleeves, and boy, the first white person they saw, they jumped on them. And you had blacks from different communities all around there, Newtown, Booker T, Bryant's Addition, Acton Quarters, and so forth. They all were at that one school. And these are different black communities. Right. And Gary, I tell you, the group I was with, they were aggressors because they were real delinquents.
The real deal.
Oh yeah. Oh, they were the real deal.
The category that all people get put into.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right,
they were the genuine deal.
They were the people that people
were afraid of later on too. You know.
Right.
But man, I tell you, Gary, fight was over the entire school. Upstairs, downstairs, courtyard, teachers fighting. I still remember Coach Bain with his red hair. He was swinging, man, at these students fighting. But boy, it was too many of them. They took him down. Yeah. Then they were stomping him and kicking him. And I remember, man, the police coming, the ambulance service coming. I remember Tina Dunn. She was a class of 75. They was taking her out on the stretcher. I remember all of that. Yeah. And man, I'm just watching my group frightened, scared, and just seeing people fight like it was war. Right. And it truly was war at school. Imagine you're a 9th grade student thrust in war at school. Imagine that. You know, Gary, I shared that with you about the integration phase, and because, the Voting Rights Act now, we're dealing with that, and which it seems like when people say make America great again, this is the best it's ever been great for people like us, the time we're living in right now. But talking about my high school experience and the race riot that we had, can you imagine when you...
Now, that was one. Was there several others? Of course, there's going to be black and white kids scrapping it up.
Yeah, but during that time...
But as a big... Because I remember out at Ardmore High, I wasn't out there at the time, but I remember some guys about 4 or 5 years older than me that, they were going... That's just that getting to know each other.
Right.
Because this kind of deal.
Because when you put the upperclassmen in there compared to us guys in junior high, and through sports and music, we got to develop little relationships
Right.
there.
It's almost like a remember the Titans a little bit everywhere. Sorry about
Well, you
that. Didn't
know,
mean to get you too
remember the
far.
busing in Boston during the 1970s, you know,
Right.
the race riot in Boston and all of that.
Right,
It was,
right. It's all over the country.
yeah, it was during that time.
Well, now you're gonna have out west, probably not
Not
so much.
not to the same degree.
Right,
No,
right.
you know, because my dad, you know, my grandmother, paternal grandmother, and all of them, you know, they moved from Louisiana, went to Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And I remember, you know, we kids living in Denver before I was 5 years old, and we moved, you know, back to Louisiana. And, you know, and I would go up to Denver, you know, and, you know, visit,
Summer breaks,
you know, just visit family and
visit family.
stuff. And the culture there was totally different.
Right.
Totally different. And they lived in an integrated community,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in a good integrated community.
Right.
And, you know, and I remember when my dad, when he got real sick, you know, and talking about caring for him, and family members were willing for him to move back to Louisiana and take care of him, he was like, no.
Mm-hmm.
He was hell bent on not wanting to go back.
Right.
And you can only imagine his experiences
Yeah.
before any rights whatsoever. But the thing is, at Wasman, after the seniors went on my sophomore year, things improved. Junior year, oh, fantastic. Senior year, off the charts.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and we had the first time at Wasman, they used to have proms where the whites had their own prom, the blacks had their own prom. But my senior year, we were one prom. And we had a white band called Home Cooking playing at our prom, and they played the Isley Brothers Fight Power and everything else.
Oh,
you know,
yeah?
it was awesome, you know. But I must say that looking back on all of that, it was awesome. Sports was a very factor in us getting to know one another.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. Sports.
Right.
The value of sports and music.
Right. Coming together.
Together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And see, and not just that, we just
especially music.
Yeah. And we discovered how we dispelled a lot of myths about one another.
Right. Right.
You
Get to know one another.
Right. We saw the humanity in each other.
Right.
You know, because I remember one time I was a kid, I remember about 10 years old. I used to watch these commercials, and you know, and I said to my mom one time, well, I wish I was white, because just like they got everything.
Right.
You know, but that was then. You know, I mean, you're looking at what they got, what we couldn't do, you know, and all that stuff. But I must say, playing, and I played sports.
Right.
And I remember, you know, I set my high school high jump record, and went to state and did the triple jump and all of that stuff, and track and field.
All this time we've been together, it's the first time I'm hearing this.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You're not a braggart on yourself, but that's awesome.
Well, you know, just tell the story.
Yeah.
And plus in basketball, you know, I remember, you know, Wasp was always dominant in basketball. And I remember Jim Warrich, who was the head coach at Kansas State University. And, you know, he was my assistant at East Central in Oklahoma.
All right.
And when I told him about my high school team who I used to play against, and he knew a lot of those people, he said, you played against pros. You played against pros.
Wow.
Because 5 guys I played against in high school all got drafted in the NBA.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, but that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that I played in the Final Four, you know, in the state tournament.
Awesome.
And, you know, we were in the upper class during that time before, you know, the division we were in. And I was really looking forward to playing against Fred Piper. He's supposed to have been the #1 player in Louisiana during that time. But we lost in the semifinals. You know, didn't get to play against him, you know. He ended up getting drafted too, though. But the thing is, it opened up doors for me, gave me some opportunities. And I remember, you know, when I was a junior in high school, we came to the state of Oklahoma. And we played in a big tournament down at Murray State College in Tishomingo, Oklahoma. The boys had their tournament, the girls had their tournament, and you know, and we had a big ball club. You know, we had Melvin Gooden, he was 6'8", Donald Lux 6'7", I'm 6'5" at the time. You know, you know, and all 5 guys had place to go play college ball.
Awesome.
You know, and the thing is, we came up to Murray State and we played in that tournament. Now imagine what we went through in Louisiana. The integration phase, the fighting, the race riot, and then coming to Oklahoma my junior year. And watching everybody hugging and touching and interacting. I
Right.
never seen an Indian in my life till I came to Oklahoma.
That you knew of.
Yeah, I knew of. Yeah, because everybody back then was like black, white,
Right,
maybe
yeah.
a Hispanic, but that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And boy, I must tell you, I mean, some people touching, hugging. I mean, it was like off the charts for us.
Right.
And people looked at us like we were celebrities.
Mm.
Everybody gathered around, want to talk to us, touch us. Back then I had my hair like Superfly.
You didn't have the comb.
Oh, I wore a perm, man.
What?
Rolled it up every night. I got to give Alice Richards a shout out. She used to roll my hair for me every night.
I had
she
the
was my
curl
next
and the
door neighbor.
braids. Yep.
And I started out, first of all, with a straightening comb my sophomore year.
All right.
Then my cousin I was telling you about, Cosmo and Coop. Man, go down and get you a perm. That way when you play ball, it won't shrink up.
Right.
So I did that. And we came up here, and I got to tell you, it was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was an experience that
kind of a relief, Robert.
Yeah, it was
not the pressure.
It was growth.
Yeah.
It was education.
Yeah.
Because we got to see something and be involved in something we never saw before. We walked down to Tishomingo High School, myself, Walter Barnes, and Donald Lux, and man, everybody was just tripping on us because we were tall.
Right, yeah.
And, girls standing up in chairs, these white girls, standing up in chairs, people touching us, And here's a good one for you right here. Tishomingo girls had lost the ball game that night. And so, I'm trying to be cool. We're all trying to be cool, when you're young. And I had my brim on, had my hair sticking out, trying to cover up my big ears, And this girl, she had talked to me a day before. We were just talking, like everybody talking to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tishomingo girls lost. She's boo-hooing. Ooh. And then I'm standing up under the basketball goal, trying to be cool,
Right.
And she came over to me crying, and I said something, tried to, hey, keep your head up, something positive, encouraging.
Right.
Next thing I know, Gary, the girl just laid her head dead in my chest. Boom! And, back then, they didn't have video games.
Right.
So everybody's watching. The gym's packed.
Yeah.
And, man, my arms went straight down to my side. Gary, I'm looking, seeing who's looking.
Stiffened up.
Yeah, I was like a board.
Right.
And I heard from 400 miles away, my grandpa said, boy, don't you look at that girl.
Yeah.
Boy, don't you touch that.
Right.
Right. But see, that was an experience. Then later on that night, while we were in the dorm, we were across the gym at Murray State in the dorm, our ball club.
Right.
Here's the godsend. A black guy, a white guy, and an Indian came to our dorm with some 210 Everclear with peppermint chopped at the bottom of it. I guess they were Murray State students,
Okay, yeah.
And man, we all took a little drink and stuff like that and was watching these guys hugging and touching each other.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine now where we had just come from.
Now clear up that touching, just being buddies.
Oh, just being buddies, like, hey man,
right.
Just being buddies,
right.
And like I said, imagine where we had just come from, what we experienced, what we saw, how the divide was there, and then come to a place like Oklahoma, down at Tishomingo Murray State College, and watch these high schoolers interact the way they did and with us.
Right.
You can imagine they had a profound effect on me.
Oh yeah.
But I had signed a letter of intent with Sam Houston State University. And they flew me, first time I flew when I was in high school, my senior year, flew me back from Houston to Monroe and all of that stuff. That's another story.
Great experience. Right?
Oh, it was. But hey, first time ever flying,
yeah.
The gigantic airplanes, they had, the jets was just not coming in. They still had those big airplanes, like seat maybe, 50, 100 people or whatever.
Yeah. And
we lost the engine up above the clouds.
That's an experience.
I had my 3-inch platform shoes on, and man, I had to take them babies off. My feet was hurting. I'm looking over the clouds, thinking I'm gonna die.
My first time.
Yeah. And they said, the captain came over and said we lost an engine, blah blah blah. He said we're going to turn around, go back. But instead, we landed in Beaumont.
Okay.
And then we got off the plane, and we got another one just like it. Man, I was scared as hell. But, I was just praying to God all the way to Monroe.
Right.
And it seemed like when we got probably 1,000 feet in the sky, I said, it can crash now. No, that would still kill us, but I was
Right.
just happy to be back,
Close.
yeah, be close to ground. But I must say, on May 18th, 1976, graduation day, and the next day, May 19th, I was at Sam Houston State University.
Hmm.
The assistant coach had come to my graduation, and I rode back with him.
Right.
And when I got to Sam Houston, the assistant coach gave me his car to drive around. First day I got there, I kept it for a month before I got it my own. When I got my own. And Coach Denny Price, you may have heard of his sons, Mark Price, and what's the other boy's name? But the other one went to OU. I can't think of his name right now.
Did one go to Georgia Tech?
Yeah, that was Mark Price.
Okay.
And the other one went to OU.
You, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they were out of Enid.
Yeah, they are. They were from Enid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, their dad, he was the assistant coach for John McLeod back in the day when Alvin Adams, was the rookie of the year in the NBA and all of that. All right. So this was his second year going to be head coach at Sam Houston State.
So that's
so he already had pro contacts, And so, and I ate dinner at their table with Mark and the family and all of them. They were little kids.
Little boys, yeah.
But you can see how good they got because their dad was a coach.
They're around.
And they're playing, interacting with college, other ball players, But the thing is, when I was at Sam Houston, I remember when Coach Price, this was around July, and, my roommate got in trouble for stealing. Now, I'm in the dorm. Now, he got arrested, so he's in jail. He's in this is Huntsville, Texas, where the state penitentiary is. And the college is next door to the state penitentiary.
Bad place to be
yeah, really. And so, I'm not going to say my roommate's name.
Right.
But the thing is, he got arrested, so I'm in the room, sitting on the bed. So, just like that door there, but it was farther down, and I'm turned sideways, had headphones on, listening to Maggot Brain by the Funkadelics. And the door came open.
Yeah.
Nobody walked through. Then suddenly, it's like a guy in a detective. He was in a suit, had his, squatted down with his hand on his gun, crossed into the room.
Right.
And I'm sitting there watching him. Had his hand on his gun. The next thing you know, the room was filled with police. The last guy to come in, he was like a detective. And he had, a coat hanging over his shoulder as he walked in. This summertime, he had a traditional cop shades, I like to say. And he had in his other hand a piece of paper.
Right.
He said, "We have a warrant to search the premises." He threw it on the bed. I picked it up. I didn't even have time to see what it was. Next thing I know, they had me all on the wall. Seriously.
Yeah.
Patted me down. They went through everything. I'm thinking, oh, I hope they don't find nothing. I hope they don't find nothing. I'm thinking, Kenny might have something,
Yeah.
And I'm going to jail or something, because just being his roommate, a guy who I didn't even know when we were forced together as roommates. And man, then he said, they left. They didn't find anything. He said, "You're in it. We're going to get you. You're in it." So now my car's in the shop. I had to walk about 6 or 7 blocks to Piggly Wiggly. And when I walked out the door, there was Sam Houston campus police, had eyes on me. They were parked in the parking lot, faced directly toward the dorm. Never done that before. And so, now keep in mind, I didn't take no class. I was there living in the dorm, had a free meal, pass, everything taken care of. But they just wanted to keep me there for the summer, so that way, but they took care of me.
Right.
And so now I walked off the campus. Sam Houston Police Department picked me up. They didn't pick me up. They came up to me.
Oh, okay.
Driving.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
2 officers in the car, 2 white officers in the car. Gary, and this is the truth, they followed me all the way to work. 6 or 7 blocks. They didn't just drive by and drove right away. No. They were right there.
Right by your side.
I'm walking distance. I walked all the way. They were right there all the way with me.
Like holding hands with you.
Yeah, I could have reached out and touched him, literally.
Yeah.
You know, imagine going 6 or 7 blocks and the cops followed you all the way there.
Right.
And so when Coach Price, this is August now, getting ready for fall class, Coach Price called all the athletes, ball players over to the Coliseum, you know, and he told everybody, you know, hey, look, I want to make sure, you know, get yourself, cut your hair, you know, groom, shave. You know, he wanted his ball players looking good, you know, for when class starts. And so I go back to the dorm, and I'm telling some upperclassmen, I don't think I want to go to school here.
Bad experience.
Oh, yeah, real bad experience, yeah. And some guys told me, they said, well, look, man, you can go to JUCO, go 1 or 2 years, and then, you know, decide where you want to go from there, you know. And so that's what I did. I tried to sneak off and leave. Coach called me, assistant coach called me. And I told him, Coach, I don't think this is for me. I don't want to go to school here. And he said, you know, well, Robert, where you want to go? You know, he thought I was joking at first. But I was serious.
Right.
And he said, well, look, I'll send you anywhere in the country you want to go, and then you can come back here, you know. I said, Coach, but see, the thing where I failed, and this could be something for all young people out there, get counseling.
Yeah.
Get some good counsel about what you want to do, where you want to go, why I should go to that school, why I should major in this and that. And see.
So at that time, were you the first of your family to
go to college?
Yeah, I
was the first.
Yeah, see, so you had nobody in the family to talk to. That happens to a lot of poor kids,
does.
white, black, anything, right?
It does. It does. That's the important thing. Get some counsel about what you. But see, here's the thing. I should have disclosed to the coach what I was experiencing.
Right.
But see, I didn't disclose that, you know, and so I left. I didn't know where. I made a few phone calls, and I knew that Coach Hobdy, you know, he came to my house. He was the head coach at Grambling State University, and Grambling was pushing out pros left and right every year because you know Grambling had produced up to the 1980s more professional athletes in the NFL than all schools.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. And so you know, and plus you know NBA players, Willis Reed, Larry Wright, and a whole host of others.
Come out of Grambling.
Yeah, a lot of Grambling. You know, Doug Williams, you know, Super Bowl, you know, Grambling, you know, the first black quarterback star of the LA Rams, you know, Grambling, you know. And, but the thing is, you know, I decided I was going to Lincoln University up in Jefferson City, Missouri, you know, and I was just getting away, you know. There were other places I could have gone, but I just wanted to get away because the coach talked to me, you know, he sounded good, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
And so here I am on my way to Jefferson City, Missouri. I stopped down at Murray State, hoping to see some people I saw when I came here as a junior.
Right. The good memories.
Yeah, they're the good memories. Yeah. And my buddy Walter Barnes was with me because I was going to drop him off at Henderson State Junior College in Athens, Texas. But he decided he wanted to go with me.
Right.
You know, no plan, just go with me, you know. And so, but he was in the same ball club at Wasserman.
All right.
And so when we stopped at Tishomingo, we were downtown at a little burger joint. Coach Cobb came. Son, I'll take care of you, son. You know, he was a great salesman.
I'll take care of you.
Oh, yeah. Son, this, that. Because he remembered
Barry
me.
Switzer in him, didn't
yeah. You know, he remembered me because, you know, we played ball there, you know, in high school. And that's why I stayed.
Yeah.
I didn't even contact the coach up at Lincoln. And they were expecting me, you know, such a day and time. I never arrived. I never called them. And when we had a break and I went home, I stopped at Grambling gassing up and I saw Coach Hobdy. He said, Wilkins, where you are, son? He said, the coach from Lincoln been calling all around looking for you. And I told him where I was, you know. And that was interesting. And but then when I was at Murray State.
This was your freshman year.
Yeah, that was my freshman. I started. I've always started. I've never said I've never ever.
I mean, so Sam Houston is basically a summer after your high school year.
Yeah.
And
complete
then,
summer.
And that right there had an influence on you.
Keep in mind. Junior high, race, you know, the integration.
Right.
High school, the race ride, major race ride. The biggest one ever in Monroe when school.
Right.
and then go to Sam Houston during the summer, and
I don't want no more of this
extreme
shit.
harassment by the police,
Yeah.
and I'm innocent.
I don't want to be here. Yeah. But that now that we know and we look back, that is a tactic. We don't want you here.
Right.
Right.
And that's what I felt.
And so and so hell, you don't want to be somewhere that somebody doesn't want you.
I felt I was on the police radar.
Right. Yeah, because of your roommate.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be one hell of a discouragement. I'm gonna cut it right here, and then that way we'll get back at your Murray State years. There we go.
And I must say, Gary, being at Murray State was a wonderful experience.
Right.
I mean, it was off the charts as far as interaction with people.
Right.
Now, even when we was at Murray State, now I'm not going to get into what happened down there because we experienced a little racism while we were coming. Some of the ball players, we had gone down to Southeastern Oklahoma State University and interacted, hung out with some ball players. That's where Dennis Rodman went.
Right. Now, on your podcast, you go into some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have gone into. I made a video.
Rename that podcast on here.
Okay.
Basketball Talk.
Basketball Talk. Now, when I started out with Basketball Talk, it was mainly about interviewing others.
Right.
It was about everyone has a story. There are superstars all around us.
Basically, I'm repeating you.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it. I'm basically following your footsteps here.
See, because think about it. There's success everywhere. We often think about the superstars, the big entertainers, and we fail to see those stars right in our community, right in our back door that can help us get where we want to be in life.
Right.
It's to inspire us.
Similar what the Ardmore leader done. He has a podcast, Mike Smith, and covered the Douglas and the Ardmore East Side, some of the black heroes that are local wise.
But see, mine, I've met a lot of people on this journey of life.
Right.
And I've interviewed
white and black and Indian. All
very successful professional athletes. Very wealthy businessmen, all of that, because everybody's got a story to tell.
Oh yeah,
and that's why I started out doing.
Yeah, see, that's what U News is going to be doing is doing just that.
Yeah, but then I evolved. I realized that Basketball Talk is more synonymous with sports.
Yeah.
So what I started doing, and then I realized how the algorithm was changing.
Right.
And it was interfering with my views. Okay. And I ultimately ended up making another channel called BTDispatch.
BTDispatch.
Yeah.
Basketball Talk Dispatch.
Yeah. BTDispatch. That's right. I'm still Basketball Talk.
Yeah.
But getting back to Murray, it was awesome. Some of my closest friends, I met Jeff Coleman, they called him Slim. He became the head coach out of Graham.
Slim over at Ada.
Yeah. And then Cleve Bryant. These guys from Shreveport. So we all had something in common.
Right.
And Walter Barnes, we call Horace. He's with me. So we all gravitated to one another because they were from Shreveport. We from Monroe, 100 miles apart.
Home state. In a foreign state.
Yeah. And I remember when they came here, they said. And we said the same thing. Where are the black people at? Because Louisiana, a percentage black.
Right.
Right.
I think Oklahoma. I don't.
It was 7. We were almost 8. It's 7.8% now.
Right. Okay.
Had a little growth there.
Yeah.
But maybe that might be declining now since so many people now are afraid to come into the country. Getting rid of people. Through ICE and all of that. But anyway. I remember, man, looking back on that experience, we went to Hutchinson, Kansas, played in a basketball tournament up there. Hutchinson, Kansas, where they have the National Junior College, championships every year.
Okay, just west of Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah,
yes. Been through there just once.
Yeah, but that's where they have the JUCO National Tournament every year.
Okay.
And so, but this was a fall, like December basketball tournament they had there. So for Murray State, we go up there and we win it.
Wow. And
I make the all-tourney team. Next thing I know, I'm being recruited by OU, Oklahoma State, every school.
Awesome. Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, I left, went to Louisiana Tech University.
Okay.
I left there and went to Louisiana, getting back closer to home because Louisiana Tech is only 29 miles from Monroe.
Okay, it's associated with
Yeah,
Monroe,
yeah,
isn't it? Pretty much.
yes.
Okay.
See, because like in Monroe,
Mhm.
there's University of Louisiana Monroe, ULM.
Okay.
Now back in my day, it used to be called Northeast Louisiana University.
All right.
And you had Louisiana Tech, 29 miles down the road, just a couple of miles, about a 5-minute drive from Louisiana Tech. You had Grambling.
Right.
So I have 3 major colleges, D1 colleges, right in my backyard.
Mhm.
So I never knew of D1, like Division I, like the kids know today.
Right.
Because, I just thought they were all like that. We didn't know.
Yeah. College is
yeah,
college.
college is college, right.
Mhm.
And so, but anyway, this girl named Judy. Judy played for Murray State. When I was a freshman, she was a sophomore. She dated our post player, Randy Denning. He was from Iowa. And so we all hung together, but here at Oklahoma, at Murray State. And when I saw Judy, she went to Louisiana Tech, and back then, the late '70s and the early '80s, Louisiana Tech was a powerhouse Division I basketball.
Female.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they won multiple national championships,
Right.
D1. And so, we were changing classes, and I saw Judy coming from a distance.
Mhm.
And keep in mind, I was a freshman when she was a sophomore.
Mhm.
So my first year at Louisiana Tech, and I see her coming, and I was like, "Hey, Judy, how you doing? Good seeing you." Judy looked at me. She said, "Hi." Then she turned her head, didn't even say bye.
Now I got a question. Was she from Louisiana or was she from the South?
I don't recall where she was from,
Yeah.
but I realized then she had conformed to the environment.
The environment.
She conformed to the environment.
That quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you're talking about not even a year. You're talking about a month. There's months.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, Coach Cobb then gets a job at East Central Oklahoma State University in Ada.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes Cleve and Slim. Now, keep in mind, those guys also had opportunities to go play ball other places, other D1 schools.
Right.
And because Coach Cobb Murray State was known for top recruiting because,
Right.
I remember when J.D. Barnett, he was at Louisiana Tech, he told me, "I understand you play for Coach Cobb. You can play for anybody in the country."
Mm-hmm.
He told me why. Because when you play for Coach Cobb, just like you're in the military, training, basic training, but it's sports.
Right.
I mean,
right. It's like a Bobby Knight type.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it was worse.
But he was a good salesman. But once he got you on that court,
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. He was a great recruiter. He recruited guys from all over the country.
I went to Fort Hays State, and there was a couple of years up there where those guys were pretty outstanding. They had a couple of national championships up there, but they weren't D1. It was like ECU. That level.
They were NAIA back at the time, right?
And those guys come from Detroit, Georgia, California, Oklahoma, wherever. That's right. And that into Fort Hays and Kansas is kind of like in the middle of nowhere. To get kind of like Murray in a sense, or Stillwater, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But it's pretty impressive to see all those guys come, and because basketball players.
Right. And you know what? I don't know how true this is, but Oklahoma was one of the main pioneers in recruiting of black athletes.
Huh.
The entire state itself.
Right.
Because when I left Louisiana Tech, I came to at East Central and rejoined those guys and Coach Cobb. And we were all conference. And then we played in the NAIA championship against the number 1 team in the country, Cameron University. Mm-hmm. They were ranked number 1 in basketball.
Right.
And now we went through the playoffs. Now we're in the finals of the District 9 championship. Mm-hmm. And if we would have won, we then played a national tournament. Wow. We lost to Cameron by 8 points. Mm-hmm. Cameron go to the national tournament and wins it. And those same guys from Cameron, like 3 or 4 of them I knew because they played at Cooks County Junior College in Gainesville when I was at Murray State. We just beat them.
Here they are national champions.
Yeah, and that coach he was at Cook County Junior College, and he got the job at Cameron and took his players with him.
Just like Kyle.
Yeah.
Over at ECU.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so they went and won the national tournament. My last year, the following year, I ended up, we won conference again. Mm-hmm. And then we face Bethany Nazarene in in the District 9 championship tournament again.
All right.
We sailed through the playoffs. Now with the District 9, this is NAIA, and the NAIA basketball at that time was very competitive because coaches from all over the country. Keep in mind, during this era, they were recruiting these black players that could have played many Division I ball in other places.
Right.
You know, but the thing is, we lose to Bethany Nazarene. They go to the national tournament and wins it. 2 years in a row, we were knocking at the door, and 2 Oklahoma colleges went up there and won it. That just showed you the dominance of Oklahoma NAIA basketball was during that time, in the 70s and early 80s. You know, so from that, I ended up getting my degree from ECU.
What was your major?
Education.
Education.
Yeah, my plan was to coach and teach, and
a lot of teachers amongst the black community back then.
Oh yeah, but see, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew was I wanted to play ball, like most people. You know, I'm you know, having a great time. You know, Coach Cobb said, "Go to class, go to class, go to class." You know how it is. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you stay a little too late, you don't feel like getting up. But what we did, hey, we dropped that class, had to take it over. You know, so that way you don't get a bad grade on your transcript. You know? That's a little advice for you guys. But I highly encourage, don't do that.
Do they do that now? Or do they do that now? Or
I'm sure they can still do. You can still drop a class, but you have within a certain time frame to do it.
To get it off your transcript.
Yeah. The way it don't go on your transcript if you do it. You know.
There you go.
We need to stop that anyway. Okay, now hold on.
There we go.
Okay, so after college, you know, of course I have a BS. And you know, like I said, my plan was to coach and teach. But things don't always turn out the way we hope sometimes.
Right.
And, you know, I got married and I got a little young boy.
Right.
And so when it don't turn out all the time, we got to work, right?
That's right.
So I got a job at JPMCO.
What's that?
Well, they were contracted with Ford Motor Company.
Okay.
And making, you know, auto parts, you know, bumpers, doors, that type of thing. And they paid pretty well.
Were you still in Oklahoma, or?
Yeah, I was right there in Ada.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, my wife, she's working at, you know, the Chickasaw Housing Authority, secretary, that type of thing. And I remember my buddy Slim, that's Jeff Colby. You know, he's coaching at Graham and stuff. And I was like, man, I'm making more money than him. You know,
exactly.
And so it was all about the money. You know.
Right.
And next thing you know, I found myself there for 4 years at JPMCO. And then I just got tired of that, you know, because, you know, I wanted something a little better.
Right.
It's easy to see how we can get off track.
Right.
You know, when we plan to do something, next thing you know, we end up doing something else. That's very common.
Well, that's common. And then also you got a kid now.
Yeah.
And you got to be a dad. And you're fighting some of that stuff probably, right? Responsibility. And so I got to take care of my kid, got to take care of my wife. And so, yeah, that's a good way to get thrown off track.
Right.
Maybe not a planned way at that time, which I experienced that, not my senior year, after my senior year, my sophomore year. So something similar.
Right.
And so, but go ahead and finish up, Rob.
Well, I got tired of that. And I saw an ad in the newspaper. It was at the employment agency. So I went to it, and it was about being an insurance agent.
Yeah.
So I became an insurance agent.
Really?
Yes.
So you drop a smooth salary for
I did.
For a
opportunity to get rich.
If you don't sell, you don't get crap.
Opportunity to get rich.
See, I could never do that one.
But hey, I was a great recruiter. You know, I traveled all over the state with employment agencies. You know, I had, you know, back then they didn't have the remote control. Well, they had a remote control, but you know, the slides, you know, they give you a little slide, had my projector on the screen. I talk about the company and the money you can make. And then we had a procedure how we did things, you know, and then you'll give a break for those not interested, you'll let them go. Thank them for coming, because you're gonna let them know, you know, because you got to get your insurance license. We'll train you for that and all of that, but you can't be can't have an arrest record, convicted felon, that type of stuff. That's how you weed people out.
Right.
And I must say, I must had about, close to 30 sub agents.
Okay.
You know, could have had more, but,
Mm-hmm.
we went all over the state and to travel for people to get there, these trainings and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I must say that I enjoyed that.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Communication.
But, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am based on production. I got to speak at a national convention in Little Rock, Arkansas on the stage.
All right.
Of course, I was the only black guy. But here's the thing. See, early on, even when I was working at JPM Co., we were introduced to a company called Amway.
Mm.
Have you ever heard of Amway?
Oh, yeah.
Direct sales,
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is, when the guy came to our home and showed us how to make money, drew those circles, And next thing I know, I was telling people, hey, do you buy mouthwash, toothpaste, shaving cream? Why don't you buy it from yourself, save some money, create a network of people doing the same thing,
Amway got you.
But here's the thing.
Sales technique.
I got involved in what they call tape of the week.
Mm.
Of success, people talking of successful stories, of people telling their stories all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got on double tape of the week. I was feeding my mind.
Yeah.
I'm reading books like Zig Ziglar. I'm listening to tapes by Les Brown, all these motivational speakers. And it was in me.
All right.
And the thing is, in saying all of that, when I went to insurance, that's what I was, a motivator.
Right.
You see? And when I'm on that national stage in insurance, Marketing and Management Corporation of America, I was Zig Ziglar.
All right.
I was Les Brown, all those other guys,
Okay. Yeah.
And my national director, I did some recruiting and had about 20 people come to. I had created a little office there at the Mini Mart there in Ada.
Okay.
Because I, growing, moved from the home into a building like this. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we were having a training. I had like 20 some people there.
Mm-hmm.
And my national director, his name was Louis Tangi. He was from St. Louis, Missouri, somewhere like that. Right. But anyway, he let me down. I got upset. I'm young, still in my 20s. I cussed him out and quit. Keep in mind now, before that, here I am hanging around with the company, with the president, who's from Florida, the vice president, who's from California, being down in Texas at Louis Tangi's home on his boats, water skiing, and all this other stuff, hanging around with these people. Why? Because I produced.
Right.
So when you're producing, you get to do things that other people wish they could do.
Right.
And I got to experience that. But when I got mad in my 20s, I cussed them out, quit. But now I'm unemployed. Still got a baby, little kid, wife. Now my wife working at Valley View Hospital, secretary up there, okay? Yeah. And so I remember, watching this show called T.J. Hooker, William Shatner, Star Trek, William Shatner. And he was playing the cop during that time.
Right.
And then so I was watching that, we were watching that TV show, and I said to my wife, I can do that, meaning dispatcher. Behind the scenes, and try to get me a coaching and teaching job. And that's what I told her,
Yeah.
So her cousin, Teresa Clay, she was the chief of police secretary here in Ardmore. Mm-hmm. And so I called her up, and Teresa said, sure, Wilk, we have a dispatcher job, So I applied and got an interview, had my suit on, everything, sat in there with Chief Bill Cully. Mm-hmm. He started talking to me about becoming a cop.
I said, dispatch, man.
Can you imagine? Have you ever thought about being a cop, Gary?
Yeah, actually I did.
Really, you did?
Yeah, in Oakland of all places,
really?
Oakland, California. Yeah, I put in.
You in gang capital over
there. Right. People get that job. Well, it was one of the higher paying jobs. But it's like the training ground. Hell, people would quit there and go to LA. Yeah, I put in, and then I sat down at the interview, and they said, they took me through the scenario about arresting people, and my sister came up as one, and she, and first time, would you arrest her? No, I'd give her a warning. Second time, no. If the mayor came through, I'd give him a ticket. Bad cop. I wouldn't be good. Sorry about that.
Well, I didn't know anybody wanted to be a cop. Everybody always.
I was looking at the money. It was like 40-something thousand that they was paying. I said, hell yeah, I can run away from.
Hey, plus you were a star running back.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be chasing anybody down. Yeah.
But I tell you, man, they started talking about being a cop.
Mm-hmm.
I turned them down.
Yeah.
And I go back to Ada. Bills don't stop.
Yeah.
And so then I called Teresa. She said, sure, Wilk, we have 2 dispatcher jobs open. But she said, well, we need a black cop. She said, we don't have a black patrolman, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to everybody, man. You know, I had people tell me, man, you be good at it.
You want people to
I can't
talk you
do
out
it.
of it.
That's it.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, man. So the financial pressures was on. And then so I dropped in unannounced, telling them, I wasn't dressed up.
Right.
And Chief Cully.
You doing everything to not get this job. Yeah.
And Chief Cully, and then he brought in Major Willingham. He was assistant chief.
Uh-huh.
And man, they cornered me, started talking about it, trying to convince me to take this job.
Yeah.
Gary, I've never in my life had anyone wanting me for a job so bad. So bad.
Right.
They were pretty much begging me to take this job.
Make you feel like you'd been recruited from college. Yeah.
And then I remember Cully said, well, why don't you become a police officer? And I still remember this day. And I said, because maybe 1 in a million chance I stop somebody, that'd be the one that shoot me.
Right.
And then they started telling me about store clerks getting killed compared to policemen. Firemen getting killed compared to policemen. And they said, we want you talking over. We want you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, seriously.
Right.
I go back. Man, I'm still talking to people.
Also, they got to connect the lady that you was calling.
Yeah.
So they
That's
know
my
about
wife's
you
cousin.
through there. Yeah.
Right.
So they know
Right.
about you through her. So it's
Right.
like, oh yeah, he's a good guy, basketball. Yeah.
Right. Plus they know I had a degree and all
Right.
that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I accepted the job.
All right.
Not knowing actually it was a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
And when I accepted the job, and I had to go through the physicals, the mental, psychological evaluations, all that stuff. And I remember the first day when I put that uniform on,
Mm-hmm.
Gary, it was a trip.
Oh yeah.
It was a bona fide trip. And when I say trip, what I mean is I'm looking at myself. I had my hat on.
Uh-huh.
I had this, I had the little whistle thing in my pocket, that strap thing, I didn't
Right.
use the whistle, but it's just decoration, And I had a big old 357 Magnum,
Cannon.
it was a revolver, 6-shooter.
Oh yeah.
I had that on, and on my utility belt, I had those bullets in like the Western days,
Yeah.
had a big long wooden baton, all that on, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at myself like, wow, that's what I mean. I was tripping.
Right.
I never imagined seeing myself as a cop,
Right.
and I'm in a uniform like this. It just tripped me out.
Hmm.
Then the moment Kevin Woods, he was my training officer at first before he came Dennis Adams, the sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we walked out to the police department. It was just like, woo!
Uh-huh.
All eyes was on me like, who is this tall black cop?
Yeah.
So
hard to miss.
Oh yeah.
Hard to miss.
Oh,
what
yeah.
are you? 6'5" or 6'6"?
6'6".
Okay.
6'6".
Yeah.
And but I must tell you, now you could be trained on the job up to a year,
Mm-hmm.
but within that year's time, you must have gone through the academy and been certified.
Right.
So 2 years, 2 months being trained on the job. Then I go to CLEAT, Council of Law Enforcement Education and Training.
Was that in Ada at that time?
No,
or
it was in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Oklahoma City.
They got one in Ada now, though.
Yeah, they do have.
Okay.
They have an office there. Yeah.
All right.
And so I went to the one in Oklahoma City, and you have officers from all around the state,
Mm-hmm.
that come in, and of course they train. Then they go back to their various departments and all of that. Not everybody make it.
Right.
And but I remember the guy said, you better get yourself in some shape too. Make sure. But I continued to play basketball.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was always.
That's like one sport keep brothers in
Oh
shape.
yeah.
Yeah.
Football players play that off season.
Oh, yeah. Those that could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, doing the training, I was always, when it came to physicalness and all that, I was always in that top 5,
Right.
running, and it's a lot of guys,
Mm-hmm.
and the classroom, you deal with a lot of, to give you basic law and all that
Right.
stuff, but not everybody passed the academy. You see a lot of them go out, especially when it comes down to custody control.
Well, also now you may have had an advantage in being college educated.
No, I wasn't. Well, for when it comes down to, you're talking about
Taking those
the
tests.
academics part of it.
Right.
Yeah. And it helps.
Right, because to be a police officer, you don't have to have a degree, or at that time, you didn't have to.
Well, you had to have at least a high school diploma at that time.
Right.
And I think the age requirement may have been 21.
Yeah.
I'm not certain, but
so
I believe
you're at an advantage because of basketball in college education.
Right.
Now, smart kid coming out of high school probably.
No, I wasn't a smart kid.
You like me? You want to see people?
I'm smarter now because I know what it takes.
Right. All right. So you're getting through this. You're getting through the law part of it. How's that affecting you? Because doesn't later on you kind of.
Well, I tell you what. When I completed it, I saw people drop out.
Mm-hmm.
I saw people that didn't pass. But I was one of those that did.
Right.
And came back, they had to write up in the paper about the new officer, this and that, and all of that, my picture and all that stuff in the local paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm on the force. First day back, now they give me my own car, my own unit.
Okay.
Before, for the first 2 months, I'm riding around with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
Training and stuff. I remember when Officer Kevin Woods, when we first time leaving the station, I remember, this is before I went to the cleat.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic stop. I guess Chief Cully wanted to get that out of me right away because he knew my fear.
Okay. Okay.
And I must say, there was a car with 4 people inside, and this was during like a work day, so they should have been at work, So they didn't stop at the stop sign. So now we're on 199 near the Votech,
Okay.
and Kevin says, he giving me instructions. He said, okay. Got the 10 code sheet there. I want you to call this in, give location, blah, 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 description of the car tag, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells me, hey, watch his approach angle to the car and all this stuff, okay?
Right.
So when he gets out, and I'm looking at this car, seeing these people inside, keeping my eyes on the mic in my hand, and I got my door open with 1 foot on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm having a serious talk with God.
Mm-hmm.
And I got this gun on me, never fired it.
Right. Oh, no.
This is my first day with my uniform on.
What about practice shooting?
No, not first day.
Not back in the day.
No, my first day in uniform. When I was tripping, we walked out the police station, and we're in the car. First thing was that stop.
Damn.
Okay.
Welcome.
And I'm talking to God. I'm thinking, what if it's a shootout? Can I shoot these people? Can I do this, that? I mean, I was sweating, man.
Yeah. Hey.
And then Kevin gave him a warning, and he walked back, and I closed the door like everything was cool.
Yeah.
But I was terrified.
Right.
But anyway, I worked at Ardmore PD a couple of years, and then across the street, the courthouse, Carter County Courthouse, a position came open for the district court juvenile officer. And the girl that worked, her name was Kathy Nolan. She used to work at Ardmore PD. Then she took the job at the district court juvenile officer. And but then she only did that for like a year, and she took a job as an officer with Oklahoma City PD. And she said that she told the court about me that felt that I would be good for that position. Why?
Wow.
Because I picked up the most kids skipping school during the daytime. Really? I did. I got awarded a T-shirt for picking up the most kids. But anyway.
He knows the youth.
Yeah. And so I sat down and I visited with 3 judges. It was Judge Lee Card, Tom Walker, and B.B. Bridges. And I got the job.
Yeah.
And when you go to traditional courthouses anywhere in the country, those dome shaped at the top, the domes,
right.
My office was right underneath that dome.
Okay. And
man, you talking about I had one of those executive burgundy VIP chairs, with the buttons, you might see Trump, but the back of her was like up here, behind it.
Yeah.
Had a TV in my office, it was off the charts.
Right.
Dressed up every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was commissioned deputy sheriff also. I had my gun and badge with a suit on every day. And now I must tell you, here's another experience. I got a call from the chief of police over in this town called Wilson.
Mhm.
There are custom towns my mother-in-law, in-laws used to tell me, to be alert for, because of the day sundown,
Mhm.
KKK, and all of that.
Right.
And so I get a call from this town.
Mhm.
Chief of police, his name was Buster Lucas.
Mm.
He and I went to the police academy together. We
You knew
graduated.
Buster, all right.
Yeah, we graduated the police academy together.
Mhm.
And so he called me and he said that, he had a little issue going on. I said, what's involving some kids? He told me yes.
Mhm.
So I drive over there and get with him, and we go outside of the outskirts of town. And as we come around these trees, all of a sudden, there it was, that flag.
Mhm.
And it's one of those gigantic flags.
Mhm.
It's so,
Proud,
it's
with
so,
the proud flag.
yeah, I mean, it's like the most gigantic flag that you could find. I'm serious,
Right,
Gary.
right.
It was humongous.
Like out at the high school or out at
Yeah,
the
it was
bank,
like it was larger than that.
Oh, my.
And it was draped on top of the house.
Oh,
Not
roof.
on the flagpole.
Mhm.
It was draped on top of the roof of the house.
Yeah.
It's as though if you're in an airplane or a helicopter, you look down, that's headquarters.
It was that
seriously.
big. It was that big.
Yeah, seriously. Now, here I am. I'm with the chief of police. I checked my gun right here. I really did. Because keep in mind where I come from, what I experienced.
Right, right.
I checked, my in-laws have already warned me.
About these type of towns.
I checked my gun under my arm, and I had one on my hip. That's right, I had 2 guns.
Okay, what about your guy that you're with? Just since you know
He's
him,
chief of police.
but that's a little comfort.
Yeah,
right?
no, it wasn't comfort.
It's a different kind of.
Now I'm wondering here, keep this in mind.
What's
This is
that?
a serious moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does he bring me out here? What's this about?
Right.
You
right.
see?
Yeah.
I felt, at that moment, I felt, is this a setup?
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
know?
Yeah, definitely.
You got this black guy, and I'm dark too,
Right.
and he's in your county, in this region,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe they're trying to send a message to me or something. So I'm thinking all these different thoughts going through my mind.
Plus, new on the job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I had about a year in the job at that time.
Job.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm here thinking, hey, he can't tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do this. I can tell him, hey, let's turn around, man. I'm not going in there.
Right.
What would you have done? The people that's watching this, what would you have done? Mm-hmm. Would you go with the police, go to that flag, that Confederate flag, and go in that residence, knowing you've already been warned about, sundown, KKK, and everything else that's supremacist? Mm-hmm. What would you have done?
Now, as a real estate appraiser, I got to go into a lot of houses in Oklahoma and seen some of those flags and never had an experience. A lot of times it was in the high school, in the kids that was in high school in their bedroom or something like that, or in the dad's shop or the garage or something like that. Yeah, that would, for you coming new to the area, being warned, you had all these signals.
No doubt.
All these signals going off in your head going, safety.
No doubt.
Security.
No doubt.
I need to be safe and secure. So a thought like that is understandable to go through your head, right?
No doubt.
To protection.
Yes.
And so, hell yeah, I understand.
You know what though, Gary?
I understand.
At that moment, I felt that this could be a life and death situation.
Right. You got to understand also, see, you're a younger man. My experience going out, I'm an older man, have worked at the refinery with guys from these towns that you talk about, or sundown towns. And I know that is past. That's just the difference. And what are we? I'm 61. Are you 65, 66?
No, I'm 68.
You're 68. Okay, 7 years difference. So me going out and going through these houses and seeing that, hardly ever. Now, that doesn't take away from what they might think about. Right. And also remember, I'm a real estate appraiser. I'm going to give your house value.
That's right. And they want you there.
Yeah, they want me there. They might not want me there,
but they want what you do there.
They want what I do, for sure. Yeah. So, but never had so you know what I'm saying? Different dynamics.
No doubt.
Different dynamics.
But you know what? And I can elaborate on that too, because I understand what you're talking about.
And as you grew into the job, you probably didn't have those fears anymore.
Well, it's amazing. I say things that most people are afraid to say because of my experiences.
Right.
But the thing is, getting back to that, I didn't have to go in that.
Yeah.
But I did.
But you did. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I went in, I did my job, I checked things out, but I was certainly alert
Mm-hmm.
because I had made my mind up at that moment, Gary, that if I had to shoot somebody
Mm-hmm.
to protect myself,
Yeah.
I was willing and ready and able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, but it didn't come to that.
Yeah.
And the kids were at the table like doing their work. It was homeschooled, and then we walked out the building, and they were just like, you know, calling me Officer Wilkins, giving me tremendous respect and stuff
Right.
because they respected the badge.
Right.
You know, so then we left from there.
Bass Reeving up in there now.
You know what?
Uh-huh.
I've done videos where I spoke about that involved with Bass Reeves.
Oh, really?
And that's
okay.
and I felt the similarity.
Right.
And for those of you that don't know who Bass Reeves is, he was a U.S. Marshal, Deputy Marshal, and during he was grew up in an era he was once a slave, and he became a Deputy Marshal at the time in Fort Smith, Arkansas. His region was Fort Smith, Arkansas, and the eastern part of Oklahoma. And he integrated also much more with I think it was the Cherokee Nation.
Okay. Right.
But anyhow. But I felt that way because Bass Reeves, especially his era is even worse.
Yeah.
But he was a bad dude. He did his job.
Yeah, trusty sidekick too, though.
That's where Long Ranger come from, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's sad. That's why the guy wear the black mask.
Yeah.
But because he was a black man. But go ahead. You can pause that right there.
All right. There we go.
Then Gary, after the district court, I then, of course, found my calling where I needed to be. I ended up with an agency called the Office of Juvenile Affairs, a state agency in Oklahoma, and which dealt with, delinquent matters and kids that were out of control beyond the parents' control. And so I'm still in the field of criminal justice, but now I'm dealing with kids, juveniles. And, kids commit the same crimes as adults do. Kids steal, kids, commits assaults, kids rape, kids murder.
Yeah.
And that's an experience in itself because I must have done about a dozen of certification hearings on kids and saw some go to prison as kids.
Yeah.
But, usually those are your more serious crimes, such as, killing somebody, shooting with their intent and all that kind of stuff,
right.
And plus based on their habitual past.
Right.
But anyhow, I ended up working with OJA, and I was there for 25 years.
Awesome.
And in that, we were a state agency, when I locked up a lot of kids too,
Right.
And but I was always a motivator. Even when I was police department, I was a motivator. All that Amway and my insurance experience always resurfaced, encouraging people, inspiring people, letting people know they can be more and do more than where they are. And this is what you need to do. But when I got in with OJA, we formulate those plan of action. Some people call them treatment plans. We have some goals and objectives and things they must do and time frames to accomplish these things.
Right.
And you'll be amazed at what people don't know. You'll be amazed at when people, they call it generational curse, when you're trying to break that cycle.
Right. Well, so you being the first to go to college, my family on my mom's first to go to college, encouraging my nieces to go to college, nephews, everybody's great. All my nephews and nieces are doing what you want your family to do,
So just take that one.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
To inspire others, because I remember my brother said, my young brother,
but then also, you know what, as we are pretty much civil rights before we put the camera on, we are, our age group is civil rights.
Yeah, we are.
Right. And so a lot of us would be the first, so nothing, not patting our backs or anything like that. It's just the timing and the error would be for us to be the first.
Yes.
Right. So sorry about that. Go ahead.
You're talking about the evolution.
Yeah. Right.
But I must say this. I remember when the day came when I was to retire. And just to tell you, I also, with the agency, my last 9 years of that 25-year career with OJA, I supervised 5 counties: Carter, Love, Marshall, Johnston, and Jefferson counties. And I did a little work also up in Murray County.
Right.
But I did supervise 5 counties all at the same time. So I'm having interactions with all divisions of law enforcement.
Right.
The district courts, the judges, the district attorneys, and all of them, assistant district attorneys. That interaction. Plus, when you're working with juveniles, great relationships with schools,
right.
counseling services, everybody that's on your caseload, especially when if they're in custody, they give psychological evaluations. So
yeah.
I know a lot about when it comes to mental health. Interactions with psychologists, counselors, therapists, psychiatrists, all of them on a regular basis. Continuing education, getting at least 100 hours of continuing education every year, which comes from the greatest minds from around the country, of psychologists, educators, law enforcement, all of that. And that's just constantly drilled in me over those years. And the relationships and the bonds that you forge with those in that profession, the judges, the private attorneys, and everybody else, school teachers and principals, all of them.
So just to interject, because your degree's in education, now you're getting to deal with education, but you're on the level with the kids that really need the most education.
Yes.
And so being a motivator and an educator, yeah, you did find your calling, didn't you?
Yes. And I spoke at every school in this county.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. Found myself to be Zig Ziglar, Les Brown.
I can see the pride. I can see the pride. I can see the pride.
Having an assembly, and I'm just a one-man show with the whole school out, enjoying every minute of it, putting me on stage. But I must say this: at my retirement, there was quite a few people there, hundreds of people there. I remember 5 judges there, principals, politicians, sheriffs, chiefs of police, counselors, principals. It was off the charts.
Yeah.
It was off the charts. I remember my wife said, everything, she said, I don't think anybody's going to show up for this because, it was raining, it was cold.
Damn it. Yeah.
And just, it blew me away. They came from
all
counties,
the counties
all these counties. Yeah.
Well,
it was off the charts.
So that right there, that kid, that 7th, 8th grade kid, when you're being integrated, now you have to kind of look back on that and say, wow. And then we'll transit into today and modern politics here in a minute.
You know what, Gary? I got to see the best of America. I got to see what America was, and what America became, and what America could be.
Right.
That's what I got to see. And after that, my whole plan, my goal was to get into politics. That was my plan. I went, COVID came,
right.
And that shut everything down. Because I wanted to do speaking too. I created the LLC, Basketball Tall LLC, and all of that. And COVID hit right when I just retired. So we were all shut down. Okay.
Right.
And then that's when I ended up creating, my podcast.
Right.
And then when we opened the doors, opened back up, we could go out and visit again. I interviewed Tammy Townsley.
Okay.
She had just become our state representative.
Okay.
And I knew Tammy before she became a representative because she once worked at Department of Human Services.
Okay, I worked with her husband, Virgil. Was her husband Virgil, the preacher?
I don't remember, can't recall.
Oh, okay.
But I went to the state capitol at state capitol. And I was used to state capitol because when I worked for the state, we had issue, we'd go to the state capitol. Okay?
Right.
And I went to her office and interviewed her. And she gave some great nuggets. And and I like to think that she's done a great job.
Right.
I like to think she's done a pretty good job.
Now tell me this: were you Republican?
No,
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 I was a
independent or
Democrat.
Democrat?
I was a Democrat,
Okay,
and I'm an independent now.
right, right.
But
That's what I am. I'm an
yeah,
independent.
because I don't just give my vote away.
Right,
It
right.
depends on the individual.
Yeah.
But overall, I lean Democrat.
I voted for Republican just because I told him
I have.
I'll vote for you,
I have.
and I ain't voted for another one. But
I have.
Now's not the time to
Yeah.
vote that way. Yeah.
Well, it's different now.
Oh yeah.
Because right now it's sad to say, but you know, the person that leads the country,
Hmm.
we have a tendency to take on that person's behavior.
Right.
And the behavior that we're experiencing right now, Gary, is one that when they say make America great again,
Mm-hmm.
and we actually seeing it take place now.
Right.
See, because a lot of people look at that different. I've lost friends.
Right.
Guys I played in college basketball with.
Right.
Guys that I've even spent the night with.
Right.
But see, everybody has now bought into this. Make America great again. First of all, it's about the border, which I understand that. I felt about the border too.
Right.
But it's taken on a whole different vibe because right now we see the methods, the techniques, Project 2025, those same techniques are fascist techniques.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the same techniques from Adolf Hitler, same techniques from Mussolini, same techniques from Putin.
But a lot of those guys got their stuff from the United States.
Yeah.
Hitler basically was influenced by
racism.
Right.
And they always got to find somebody to blame. Guess who's to blame in this country? We are.
Right.
Why? Because people we have risen to a level now some don't like. Remember when Donald Trump said those black jobs?
Right.
What's
right.
a black job?
Oh.
We know what it used to be.
Right.
And see, but that's where his mindset is at.
Mm-hmm.
And see, now it has influenced, it has unleashed that which once we started to bury.
Right.
It was still there. It's never been eliminated.
No.
Because keep in mind, people when we were segregated, when we were depressed, suppressed, those people are still alive. A lot of those people, they didn't like that when they got the right to vote and all of this stuff. They didn't like that, and many of them are still alive today. Right. And now we see things that's taking place today where blacks in all facets of government is being removed. It's kind of like, remember after slavery, they had the Reconstruction era.
Right.
And then, across the country, you had like over 200 people, blacks, that got into politics.
Right.
Even on the federal level, Congress.
Right.
And then, came Jim Crow.
Mm-hmm.
And then Woodrow Wilson.
Right.
And Woodrow Wilson, he kind of did like what Trump did. He influenced the black people, let them know he was going to help them. He was going to do this and that for them. But once he got the office, he didn't do it. You remember that movie came out? What was that movie called? During Woodrow Wilson's time. It brought in the Ku Klux Klan. They were riding the horses and blackface and showing black people, like the guys, the blacks would come rape your white women and all that stuff.
That era.
Something about a nation.
Right.
Birth of a Nation. The Birth of a Nation.
See, I have 3 books by Thomas Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
Spots of a different color, or something like leopard, or some leopard
Mm-hmm.
spots, or something like that. And those, it helped influence that, because he was going around the nation giving plays
Mm-hmm.
and getting people fired up. See, people don't think about that. They just need somebody to inspire and raise up that monster that they got inside of them.
Right.
Now, not everybody was influenced by that, but enough to do enough damage, because at that particular time, that's when the most lynchings took place.
And you know what else happened?
Right.
All those in political office got removed.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And then it was like a century later before any blacks ever got back into political office again.
Right. Because even within the system, you have people that are decent
mm-hmm.
and aren't that far evil, you know, because that's what it is. You know, the essence of evil is when you're thinking about it and might put it in laws, but
Yes.
when you practice it, you practice it,
Yes.
right? And so uh, we had enough people with enough heart on the good side of their heart to get us to the civil rights era and whatnot.
But
And I still think it's a minority of people that are running this country.
It
They just got the
is.
megaphone.
It is.
It's more people now that they're seeing that that dollar bill is more important than their lighter brown or white skin, because we're all brown on the scale of things, right? So I think people are waking up to that. You remember I came to you about 2 years ago when I was going through my spiritual awakening, and I said, hey, how can we get rid of this? Because what I was picturing at that time is what we're going through now. I knew it was always against the black man because I'd seen that Kevin Roberts do, but I didn't know his background, that everybody's saying all that. I just knew that they wanted a police slave state. And how do you stop it? And that's the reason why I came to you several years ago. But I didn't have what I have now to say, well, we're seeing people stop it at the county levels with the commissioners and stuff like that. And so, and that's the beautiful thing, seeing things happen by, and usually these are going to be a lot of white counties because they're doing it out in the rural spots, you know. And so that's a fight that white people are taking on pretty good. It's my thing is that, like, we're seeing Utah, that gym is just loaded with white folks. So
I've been to Utah.
So there's not a black issue there. But they want to take your money, take your land, suck the water up out of your community, you know, screw up your farming and whatnot. That's not racism. That's wealthism, or you know what I'm saying? That's money boys showing you that your race don't mean shit. Excuse me.
It don't.
So, sorry about
money.
That.
Money rules.
Money. That's
yeah.
And the love of it is the what?
Love of money.
So
root of all evil.
And who at the top is ruling this thing?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. So now I'm gonna shut up because this is you news. Sorry about that, brother. Go ahead.
Need to be heard. Yeah. You know what though? But to expound on what you just said, there are a lot of good people in this world.
Right.
That's a lot. That's more good than bad. Like you said, the bad is the minority.
Right.
They just happen to have the megaphone.
Got the megaphone.
Because Gary, you and I would not be where we are today if there was not for a lot of good white people.
Exactly.
You know. But the thing is, right now, when you have there is a sense of brainwashing that has taken place.
Oh my goodness.
It really has.
Well, I mean, look at our system.
Yeah.
When we talk about the system, our history lessons and how things are supposed to be. I think one of the confusing things is with some of our young white youth is you've been told that you're the best. And then you find out that, okay, these people of all shades of brown are just as good, if not better than me in some aspects.
That's what you and I discovered.
Right.
Once through integration, we realized, well, hey, they're no smarter than me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And like my kids, when I look at I put them up against anybody's kids.
I know you should. Yeah. Your boys are brilliant, man.
Their ACTs high, you know, and all of that, you know. So, but when we look at today, we are an integrated society.
Right.
But the things that's happening now, you know, including with our Supreme Court, they're trying to take us back. They literally are.
Right.
You know, when I talked about brainwashing, I'm working on a video right now, you know, how to recognize brainwashing. You know, and
so
think about
with your job, you got to go into the mind a little bit. Your dream job that you retired from. So you're more psychological and emotional and feelings aware.
I dealt with people.
Dealt with
continuing education. You know what? You know, mental health.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And the thing is that when you repeat something over and over and over enough, and when you have a megaphone, people start to believe it, whether it's true or not.
Right.
Because we want to give that person that has that platform, you think that that person knows what they're talking about.
Right.
And they're honest and decent people, when in fact they're not. We're at a time right now, we've got the most corrupt. Now I'm looking at this from a law enforcement point of view.
Right.
Criminality point of view.
Right. 34 counts.
Yeah.
At the head.
Everything. All that. It's so much wrong being done. Disobeying lawful court orders.
We ain't even mentioned Epstein files.
Oh no, no! The victims don't matter anymore.
Right.
You know, and see the thing about it is when I was in the juvenile division, you know, a lot of folks were like on Medicaid and so forth.
Right.
9 out of 10 of those people were white.
Mm-hmm.
They were not black.
Right.
So when you're voting against your interests.
Okay, so all right. So as a real estate appraiser, I deal with demographics and putting a little bit of that in my reports. So we live in South Central Oklahoma. And those counties that you are majority white. That's the population that is majority white. And that's one thing I think when people watch the news, and we've been brainwashed with the welfare queen since back in the day, the 70s, right? And that past, that there are poor whites, way more poor whites than in this area than there are poor blacks. Now, the reason for that, you'd probably be more educated on that than I would, but I'd probably say when you're in a rural area like this is the lack of jobs, right? Now, most jobs are going to be along a highway, you know, a major highway or a good state highway, water, you know, where businesses want to put their plants, you know, factories. So that plays a part in it. But then this is ranch, farm, and agriculture country as well. Those jobs don't pay well, you know.
And not just that, Gary.
Yeah.
A lot of companies don't provide insurance.
Right.
So, you know, imagine when you have to get on Medicaid and so forth, which now our government has really cut Medicaid. And you have a lot of people, they voted for this individual against their own interests.
Right.
So what's the motivating factor here? What? Your color.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we all know those saying, well, at least you ain't black.
Right.
You know, like somehow that gives you a leg up, make you feel better about yourself. Right. Meanwhile, when the guy at the top, the king or queen or whoever, you know, is hurting you and your family.
Right.
And right now, here's something, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, a whole lot of other countries right now that, you know, was aligned with our current administration this is new news, has now prevented us from using their airspace.
Right.
Things are starting to domino way against us now.
Right.
You know, the NATO right now it's not going to hold any more meetings, they said, until this administration is no longer in charge because they don't want him there.
Right.
You know, so they're moving away from the United States and forming alliances with themselves and others without the United States. They're starting to draw money from our investments into our country, out of our country, no longer invest with us. So you can see there's going to come a point in time where we are going to start feeling the pinch. Meanwhile, those at the top are getting wealthy, and everybody else, we're going to start feeling the pain. And that's what it's going to take, because you got people out there literally, seriously, in these right-wing groups, these hate groups, wanting civil war.
Right.
They really want civil war. But here's the bad thing about that.
I think some of them do and some of them don't. There's a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah,
you know
it is. It is. But even if you do, for those that do, and the ones that hold the power to try to make this happen, how destructive would be? Because, see, the generation of blacks today are not the same during our parents and great-grandparents and ancestors before that, where they couldn't own arms. Right now, we have the same weapons and everybody else has got. Why? Because we listen to the same commercials and we go buy the same things. Right. So how horrific that would be to have a civil war. Stupid as hell.
Doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. Right. But you got so many people, because of the brainwashing techniques that has been used upon this nation as a people, and they're buying into it because there's so many talking points. You know, I hear the same old stuff over and over. If people can get away from Fox, if they can get away from Newsmax, at least for a week, don't listen, don't watch any of this stuff. Right. Because, see, when you're law enforcement, when you're investigating a crime, and when you have to submit information to the district attorney, when you got to file them reports with the district court and so forth, you got to overturn every rock for information. You can't be biased. You can't be side with this person, that side or that side. You have to present the information, the facts, the evidence. then present it from there, whether it's you in favor of it or not.
Right.
But the thing about it is, that's not the case here. People are just going these talking points and like, it was all Biden's fault. Every time they'll change, it's Obama started, it's unbelievable. And they all say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know where their sources come from, because they just repeat with no evidence. And because the guy at the top says it over and over and over enough, and then all his below him started saying it over and over enough, and people believe that it's true.
Right.
When in fact, it's a lie. Mm-hmm. And it's destructive to them and to this country. And we're at a state right now that, and I know I'm jumping politics right now,
right.
but the thing is that we can't give in to the whims of the mighty, because that's not the majority.
Right.
And I love this country, and I know you do too.
Oh yeah.
And there's enough work in this country for everybody.
Right. There's enough to eat.
Yeah.
For everybody.
See, when people start, like right now, gas prices going up, things are going to get worse before it gets better.
Right.
And I think maybe that's what it's going to take to wake people up.
Yeah. All righty. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. You had a lot to say, brother, and I appreciate it. And you can pick this up on Robert's channel. It's a basketball talk, right?
A BTDispatch.
BTDispatch. I'm used to basketball talk, so, but I understand. Or you can get it at my YouTube at We Is Us, little squiggly Gary Ward. And thank you for sharing your life story and where we're at today. And that will be it. Thank you, folks. Hope you watch it. It's a good story, good man. And we're going to work our way through this and get out on the good side of things by using the good side of our hearts and make this place great.
And I want to say one more thing, Gary.